name is Reed Silburn. The name of the show is Fed Pride. The reason it's called Fed Pride is because I'm a federal worker and proud of it. Today I'm going to talk about a number of things, and here is my logo. I am actually doing this show. This is called Live to Tape, which means that as I speak, I am live, at least to the tape. If I fall off my chair, you see me fall off my chair. If I trip and fall, you see me trip and fall. If I go up and I don't know what I'm talking about, which is often, then you see me go up and not knowing what I talk about. No editing, no nothing. What you see is what you get. However, for me, today is Friday, and you're not going to see me until Tuesday and possibly the following Sunday. Or if this is a rerun, this could be weeks and months, and everything I say could and probably is completely obsolete. And I don't have a problem with that because this is my show. Again, I have Google Earth behind me, and I'm very, very proud of that particular product. And it's not product placement. Hopefully I can get a hold of the right spot. I'm having a little trouble today. And I'm doing the traditional spinning of the earth just to show the world that I can, and pulling America over to my left shoulder. You see it over probably on the right, and that is the world, and that's basically how I show you where I'm talking about. Consequently, I've been doing a lot of shows about foreign policy because the whole earth is out there for me to turn to. I'm going to talk about a number of things. There's been a lot happening in the world, and a lot happening domestically as well. Scooter Libby was not only convicted, but he was sentenced to 30 months. Will he get a pardon? Who knows? Paris Hilton is in jail. That, of course, is the most important thing going on in the world, but it's not something that I care to talk about because it doesn't bother me one way or the other, or please me one way or the other. I'm going to pull up just a little bit the Middle East over here, and I'm just going to touch on something that's been going on, and that's been a big deal the last couple days, and that is that, let's see if I can get this to be a little bigger here. There we go. Okay, here is Israel. And this little spot right over here is the Gaza Strip. This spot right in here, I notice my my world turning device is coming in, is the West Bank. And from about here down to here is Israel. This little strip over here actually has 1.4 million people. Could be 1.5, could be 1.3, but that is a lot of people, because that is approximately the same size as the island of Manhattan, and consequently is probably the most densely populated area in the world. There's a few little towns, actually cities, more like just giant slums. Khan Yunis is in the bottom. In the middle is Gaza, and at the top of the Gaza Strip is Khan Yunis. Over the last week, a guerrilla organization called Hamas, and Hamas is it basically means Islamic Jihad. Well, Islamic Jihad is the other one, but it means the Islamic resistance. And basically what that is, there we go, there's a slightly bigger look over there, although they didn't really put the border of it up. This has been taken over in a war between Hamas, which is a radical Islamic organization, and Fatah, which is the usual PLO. People remember who Arafat was. Mahmoud Abbas is the head of that. The Palestine Authority, which is has pieces of the West Bank and all of the Gaza Strip, is a kind of a bizarre semi-state, but it has an elected president who is Fatah, and an elected parliament dominated by Hamas. And basically Hamas refused to recognize Israel Basically, what little peacemaking was done was thrown out the window. Consequently, the Arab League took over peacemaking, and they put forward what they call the Saudi plan, which is that Israel would accept, sight unseen, without negotiation, a plan to withdraw from every bit of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, pull all the settlers out, and let the Palestinians move wholesale into Israel. If that's a starting position, then they can negotiate it, because obviously Israel is not going to let hardly any Palestinians move into Israel proper. But it would end the occupation, which is Israel's control over the West Bank and Gaza. And then, of course, they would figure out what to do about Jerusalem, which is sacred to the Israeli Jews, sacred to the Muslims, and is a big problem for everybody because it's also sacred to the Christians. So the problem of Jerusalem, a city that's sacred to too many people. In fact, you can kind of see the outline of the West Bank over here a little bit. So here's the Gaza Strip. So what has happened? Well, Hamas just fought a war, just broke out about a week ago with Fatah, and basically kicked the heck out of Fatah, even though Fatah has, in the Gaza Strip, more soldiers. Oh, there it is. It's a red border. Let's see if we can make it a little bigger here. Okay. That's the Gaza Strip over here, this red line. And basically right around here is Gaza City. Up here is Khan Yunis. And over here on the border is city of Rafah. And there's two entryways. One entry way over here to Israel called Erez. Another one down here. And then there's a Rafah entry to Egypt. And Egypt has been trying to negotiate a government between Fatah and Gaza. Well, two things happened. First of all, this war has occurred. The Hamas basically destroyed all the facilities that were controlled by what they call the Presidential Guard and the Preventive Security Service, which are Fatah facilities, and took control probably Thursday and Friday, 14th and 15th of June. These people are radical Muslims. They basically believe in destroying Israel, completely replacing it with an Islamic State, and they basically declared Islamic law, which is not the law of the Palestinian Authority, throughout this whole area. And they took some of the Fatah soldiers out and shot them in the head in the streets. The Hamas prime minister was overthrown by the president in the West Bank. And what I'm going to do is show where the West Bank is. There's the West Bank over here. Right around here is a city called Ramallah, which is the effective capital of the Palestinian Authority, although they claim East Jerusalem as being the capital, which is Jerusalem is over here, and over here is Ramallah. So what happened is the president of the Palestinian Authority, who's Fatah, and who's Mahmoud Abbas, he's also head of the PLO, which is the UN-recognized organization for the Palestinians. He overthrew the unity government, which was controlled by a Hamas prime minister named Haniya. Haniya is out, and he put the finance minister in charge. So there is a chance that a Western boycott, because Hamas and the unity government refuses to recognize Israel, basically advocates Israel's entire destruction from scratch. Doesn't go as far as Hamas itself, because Hamas itself not only advocates the destruction of Israel and its replacement with a Palestine from river to sea, but also an expulsion of all the Jews who didn't live here in didn't live in that area in 1900. So that would be, basically killing and exiling 6 million Jews who live in Israel right now. So that's all wishful thinking on their part, because Israel happens to have a pretty tough army and air force, not as tough as it might have been in the past, but it also has, at least is rumored to have, a lot of nuclear bombs. And any attempt to destroy it by force is going to cause a lot of trouble in the world. So that's the story over here. Back to over here, the little Hamas state is in the Gaza Strip over here. So the question is, are there going to be a three-state solution, in which case you'll have Fatah and a Palestinian Authority over here, able to negotiate with Israel willing to negotiate with Israel and accepting the Saudi peace plan, and a Hamas state over here in the Gaza Strip, ruling about 1.5 million people, that'll be isolated. The Egyptians hate Hamas because Hamas is basically the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the opposition to the president of Egypt, and they may just seal Hamas up over here. So it's hard to say whether they'll even be able to get aid or what's going to happen, or whether they'll try to rule, or whether they'll just start flinging missiles into Israel, which they've done in the past. But anyway, there's a big change. We're going to see in the next couple months, or really in the next couple of weeks, how that's going to play out in the diplomatic world, and it should be interesting. Of course, Hamas is backed by Iran and Syria. In fact, the head of Hamas is over in Damascus, Syria over here, just as Hezbollah, which was over here and now has moved up a little bit, was backed by Iran. And could cause Israel a problem, and on the other hand, it might actually be an opportunity. There was a, see if I can pull out instead of in. I don't talk about the Middle East problem a lot because you could just go on and on about it forever. And my issue in the Middle East is that we're importing too much oil. We're becoming dependent on our enemies. And speaking of our enemies who sell us oil, my pet peeve has been Hugo Chavez. I don't think he's been getting enough press in the regular press. He controls this country over here, Venezuela. He has a satellite over here in Ecuador, another one in Bolivia. And I've been talking lately about the soap opera riots. Over a period of 10 years, Hugo Chavez very, very slowly, very, very patiently turned Venezuela into a basically socialist state. He now calls it socialist. He used to call it populist. And by socialist, he really means communist. And he's been very, very slowly creating one party, a party in his own name as opposed to multiple parties, changing the Constitution so that he can rule by decree, very, very slowly but surely nationalizing one industry after another. And of course, the main industry he nationalized was oil. He took over in 1998, 2000, immediately abolished the Constitution and wrote a new one for himself. In 2001, there was, really might have been 2002, there was an attempted coup. He took over the military, he took over the oil industry, and he started distributing all the oil income to his cronies, building up basically a one-party malicious state, basically that all of the poor people, at least in the cities of Venezuela, Caracas is right about here, were beholden to. And over a long period of time, very, very patient, he has come in with a new referendum, got re-elected third time last year, basically came up with a new referendum because he needed a new constitution so he could succeed himself for life and rule by decree, passed a law or passed a new constitution, allows him to rule by decree, which he's been doing. He nationalized the electricity company, nationalized the cell phone company, the phone company, just consolidating power in his own clique. And the last big nationalization, and the one that's probably caused more controversy in his country than any other, was nationalizing the media. And there was, he had nationalized two of the main networks quite a while ago, and replace them with government-controlled and party-controlled media. And now the biggest of the traditional networks, something called RCTV, or basically, I think it was Radio Coachella. I'm not sure I'm getting the name right, but it goes back to a radio station that had occurred in the 1930s and 40s, and that radio station and its owner started the main independent TV station, and basically has been producing most of the soap operas for years and years and years that Venezuelans just love. They've adopted as an important part of their culture. So Chavez finally felt 10 years, or about 9 years after he took power, almost 10 years, after he's gave himself the right to rule by decree, to actually suspend the license and to take over all the property of this RCTV and to replace it with his own government-run propaganda network. The people of Venezuela have been shell-shocked for quite a while. They probably okay it, except that this is the source of their soap operas and their favorite soap operas. And consequently, this RCTV, there were actual riots on the street. The students especially were particularly upset and actually came out. The middle class has been pretty much destroyed. And I've been saying that this is basically the new Castro. He's been setting up satellites throughout Latin America. And because he is the new Castro, he's part of the new Cold War. Now, why do I say this? Basically, there's a Cold War brewing within the world. Basically, Russia is feeling its oats again. Russia supplies 25% of all crude oil to Europe, 50% of all natural gas. It is basically the #1 energy supplier to Europe. Europe is if Russia cut Europe off of energy, Europe would be in deep trouble. So it's completely dependent. So billions and billions and billions of dollars of euros, or billions of euros, are being transferred to the Russian treasury all the time. And Putin, who's the president of Russia, he also nationalized all the independent oil companies and brought them into his own, or had it taken over by Gazprom, which is his own government-owned energy company. And so he is getting a tremendous amount of oil revenue, and he also took over the media, much the way Chavez wants to right now, or Chavez finally doing. But Putin took it over a while ago, so that the media in Russia is basically speaking with one voice. Might be a little more interesting than it was during the communist world, but not by much. So I'm going to make straighten Venezuela out. This is Venezuela up here with the yellow border, and that's basically where it is. And this area right in here has just lots and lots of light crude oil, and this area right here has a tremendous amount, literally trillions of barrels, 2 trillion barrels of tar sands. So there's basically, they talk about peak oil. So basically an unlimited amount of oil. It's just controlled by our enemies. So what's the situation? The situation right now is 1.4 to 1.5 million barrels a day of oil are exported to the United States from Venezuela. We are basically subsidizing Hugo Chavez to the tune of $100 million a day, $30 billion a year. And what is he doing with it? Well, that is the story that I'm going to talk about today. Now, I know I talk about it a lot, but I think this change of balance of power in Latin America is probably the most important event in the world today, and the most important event to the United States. And we Americans are subsidizing it by buying imported oil. The only way we can fix it, hybrids, higher mileage for cars. There is a bill in Congress right now where they want to increase the average mileage from 25 miles a gallon to 35 miles a gallon. Oddly enough, our car companies are fighting it, GM and Ford. And if they did that, immediately 2.5 and I believe up to 3 million barrels a day of oil would not be required in the future. And if that was true, we would not have to buy either any oil at all from the Middle East or cut the oil from the Middle East by 2/3 and not buy any oil at all from Hugo Chavez. So what's the story over here? Well, Hugo Chavez is now buying submarines from Russia. There's a deal. He is about to go to meet with Putin. And I've talked about the new Cold War. Putin basically trashed the United States last February, said that we were imperialists trying to conquer the world, and that he was going to stop us. So he has been selling arms, and he's selling up to 9 submarines. The first 5 alone is worth 600 million pounds, $1.2 billion. He's already had an agreement with Chavez last year to sell 34 fighter planes. Now again, you know, who's he fighting? Is he fighting Colombia, that has virtually no air force at all? Is he fighting Brazil? No, it's aimed against us. So he is building the largest military in all of Latin America with our money. He's with this deal to buy submarines. And of course, what's the purpose of submarines? Purpose of submarines is to disrupt sea travel. That is the only purpose of submarines. The other purpose is if we have a nuclear standoff, you have nuclear weapons, you can use submarines as a means to deliver a second strike, which means if they destroy your country, you will destroy their country. They don't have nuclear bombs in Venezuela, so what is the purpose of buying submarines? Only purpose of buying submarines is to make sure that the trade with the Caribbean is in hostage by Venezuela. Venezuela is very, very strategic. There's really only 3 entrances that are navigable into the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. One, of course, is between Cuba and Florida. Another one over here between the Dominican Republic and Cuba and Puerto Rico. Then there's, or Puerto Rico's over here. This is Jamaica. So that's this hole over here. Then there's another hole near Grenada. And of course, you know, we fought a little mini war in Grenada when the communists tried to take it over. And then there's a deep water passage right over here, Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. So it's not easy to get in here, and almost all of Western Hemisphere's oil is within this sea lane over here. And that's also our Gulf of Mexico, and of course the Caribbean over here. So there's only 4 choke points, and whoever can disrupt, we keep those open because we have the largest navy in the world, or at least the most powerful. And for other navies to disrupt this, or potentially disrupt this, this could be a problem. So he's buying fighter planes, he's buying submarines, he's buying ships, a multi-ship navy from Spain, which is our ally. Basically, he has orders of approximately $7 billion of arms, basically without any other real military power in his whole region, except us. So who is it aimed against? Well, you know, I believe it's aimed against us. I think that is a tremendous threat to our security. And now that he's consolidated power within Venezuela, adding satellite countries, I think he wants to be the Castro, maybe even the Putin of the New World, and basically to oppose us. My name is Reed Silverne. The name of the show is Vet Pride. Reason it's called Vet Pride. I'm a federal worker. Proud of it.